Hello, hello. How we doing tonight? Just me and you, Freeze. How we feeling? I am doing great. On nights like these, I'm actually happy to see less people because it means that most people are able to have a regular life and disconnect. I don't know what's your situation. I don't know what's your time zone, whatever, right? But people need to learn to disconnect, I guess. Do as I say, not as I do, right? That type of deal. Well, a French guy just like me. Awesome. Yeah, I see that you're friends with Justin and Tommy. Nice to see. We'll get right into it, right? Busy Friday, but we had a very beautiful day today. Looking and thinking about weekly profiles, right? This is something we don't discuss too much, and I tend to bring data from Rice Statistics, but, at the price that it is currently, I feel like if you want to see it, you can just access to it quite easily. But once we have formed the early structure in the week to form the low of the week, the highest probability was that we had a Thursday retracement and a Friday high of week. So that was my bias going into the day. Definitely bullish continuation higher, especially since we traded back into this fair value gap. Now, as I always say, I disregard fair value gaps like this that are, for example, premium bullish arrays are not of importance to me. That is true. But in the context that we are very bullish, right? In a very bullish scenario, we are trading at all-time highs. We are bullish until proven otherwise. In this context, I can still frame trades on that. Moreover, because it is overlapping, and I'm trying to see if I have a template for it, which I don't, but it is overlapping a swing point, right? So this fair value gap specifically, when we are very bullish, we're going to respect this inefficiency. And as we can see, did not even come close to CE. Beautiful institutional order flow entry drill, if we're using the correct terms here. So we're going to keep this as our daily fair value gap, and we're going to go down to the 15-minute chart. Daily was very clear, looking for longs out of this or retracements into this. If we were going to be looking for shorts, personally prioritizing longs in this case. As we can see on NASDAQ, right on open, we were in this gap, right? We formed the gap on the daily candle closer here, and then we dove right into it on daily open. And as we can see right here on NFP, right, high impact news, we are not going to consider anything during London. That is a very high impact news. We have clear SMT confirming our direction that we could have, first of all, confirmed through AMD. Right? If we look purely at NASDAQ, we see accumulation, but we never see a manipulation in this case. Well, you have your manipulation on the news as expected, confirmed through SMT, as we can see right here. So you have beautiful AMD right here, accumulation, manipulation, distribution to the upside. This, actually, no, I shared this with some students. I did not share it publicly, but I traded this, shared it the whole way this morning, I believe. So definitely after everything aligns in this case with your high impact news, what are you looking for? Well, from that point on, all I'm waiting for is time to align, and time will align at 9:30 open, right? New York opening. That's what I'm looking for, the equities open. And as we can see right here at 9:30, we had a beautiful inefficiency formed by the news, and do not be mistaken, it does mean it is more important. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. Little seasonal allergies. Even in the winter, I get these little seasonal switches, so feeling a little bit under the weather. As we can see, picture perfect, 9:30 open, right then and there. And I believe we had SMT too. I don't want to bullshit, though. Actually, this seems to be taken out on both assets. Well, they are equal, but as I always say, ES being equal means it took it out. So no SMT to confirm here, but since we had SMT at our key point, at our news, we did not need any further SMT here. I just want to show you guys that the 15-minute fair value gap, of course, was beautiful, right? It was the perfect one. But if we're looking to get the CE of the 1 minute gap, for example, which yes, we do not go here, we include the volume imbalance. gives you a CE right here that you could look to frame trades. I'm going to be working on sharing the news framework that I've established here recently, but I won't be sharing it until I have data on it. And by data, I mean in the Right Statistics app, having complete news analysis. And once that is up, I'll be discussing about how I traded specifically. So for example, today was NFP protocol. For me, it's very simple. If I see a large gap about bigger than a certain size, I'm just trading that gap. So that's my higher time frame point of interest. I've shared this a few times. Wait, I'm going to leave the 15-minute here. Actually, I'm just going to mark it out differently. 15-minute fair value gap. There we go. So as I said, for me, a news fair value gap is more important. I use this as a higher time frame PD array. And of course, we have our actual intermediate time frame. So intraday PD array right here to confirm your idea at 9:30. We open. We are invalidating offside arrays, right? Bearish fair value gaps. That is your sign that you can go long, right? Especially from this wick. So if we look at it, what does price do here? Opened here, went all the way up here, traded all the way back down to a close here, right? We rebalance all of these inefficiencies. We're not going to go back there if we're bearish. We have now rebalanced price. We are ready to target liquidity. We're going to go get the low of this candle. That's how price works. But as we can clearly see, we were bullish in this case. I just want to see something that I believe I just noticed. Okay, so both taken out here. That's what we were looking at specifically. There was, of course, divergence before New York Open, but that's not of any interest to us. We expect consolidation right before New York Open, right? And when we have SMTs on both sides of a range, if you look at the highs here and the lows here, comparing on both assets, there's SMT on both sides, right? Drawing it without precision, there is SMT on both sides, definitely showcasing that ES is the weaker asset, but we don't care for that. SMT on both sides means consolidation. What do you need when there is consolidation? You need a raid. And you got that raid right here, right on open. You already have the presence of SMT, which is all you need. Of course, I'd prefer it if there was SMT also at 9:30, but it was stalling now. It was ready to go. It did not need to form SMT. Invalidating our arrays, what do you need next? Well, very simple. With my specific model, with the res trading model, we're looking for breaker block next. That's your last thing missing in this specific case. As we can see, 925 breaker block. What is the first entry that price gives you? 842 inversion fair value gap. Right here, you inverted it. You also formed this fair value gap on this candle. So if this inverse fair value gap was not there, I'd be waiting for this gap. But since it is there and it is overlapping with my breaker block, I'm not choosing. I'm taking that entry mechanically on the first retracement into a unicorn. Got a student that got stuck this morning and was waiting for the fair value gap and missed out on this whole move. Don't do that. Looking at a 3PD array stop loss rule, as always, we have the inversion fair value gap right from our entry. We also have fair value gap right below here and the inversion fair value gap here, giving your stop at the low of this candle. Now, I personally did not want it to trade back into that wick, right? Because of the same logic that I just said. Here it went up, went back down, and now it's going back up. This area is balanced, and I can use that in time as well. This is, well, actually, I don't think I've ever discussed this here, but just wicks like this, I believe they have a correct name as a sort of PD array, but I'm not focused on it as a PD array, as a zone, whatever. I'm focused on the symmetry of things. If I go to a lower time frame, which you know what, we will. Let's go to the 15-second chart, and let's go back here, New York Open. If I look right here, what do I see? 9:30 went up, went down, and now it's going back up. That forms a breaker block, right? But what does that tell you? We went up, we rebalanced everything we needed here, and then went lower, as we expected after rebalancing this. So I know that this move higher is a true move because we have nothing to rebalance here past this high, because we already rebalanced it. So if we're going higher here, we have a higher objective. And for me, the only logical higher objective was, of course, first being data highs, right? But following that, we have previous day high, which is also, of course, all-time high. but that was a very clear objective to me with this manipulation, thinking in terms of the daily power of 3, right? What we just looked at in a 15-minute chart. So looking at this, you have a very clear setup. But what I wanted to point out is to focus on the symmetry and what it tells you. And yes, in the 1-minute chart, that showcases as one candle with a wick, but it means that I don't want to see price go ahead and trade back into it. Now, it could wick barely into it. So for me, that was right here, my stop loss. Why was it here? Inverse fair value gap is my PD array, right? I also have this fair value gap, which is why I would place the stop at this low. But in this case, I'd use this PD array, so the one just before, because as I explained, I don't want to see price trading back in that wick. That's what I personally did. But now, are we going to be pessimistic or we're going to be optimistic, right? Pessimism, that is the purely mechanical stop. You have your 3 PD arrays, which tell you you need to place it under the fair value gap candle here, which is your 3rd PD array. So 21 handle stop, pretty decent at this point in time. And to data highs, definitely not something worth taking profits here under 2R. But we were in really close proximity to previous day high at this point in time. What is that? 37 handles. If we plot our standard deviations here, well, they don't line up specifically with that level, but you have good confluence to have, to have a decent run here. So I definitely would not have taken profits before previous day high. And I mean, I can show you guys my executions. I did not. Well, actually, you can see them by just scrolling in general. So definitely a beautiful trade here, 2.54. And I always talk about this. NFP is usually a trending day, so try and hold on as long as you can. I personally look to trail my stop at here. We had a lot of SMT at these lows. First between here and right after between here. You can compare the assets here. And once I saw price consolidate here and on ES, I trailed my stop loss all the way to here. Then I almost got stopped out here, so I moved it right there, then started trailing it up, got stopped out right here on this wick. I was giving price a chance to return to this fair value gap before getting stopped out. And if we just plot this very quickly, I just noticed, I think my trading view was zoomed in. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the fonts were a little messed up. Sorry, guys, if that looked a little weird. By the way, if you did not know, Control plus, Control minus to change the scale of your different tools and whatnot. But I wanted to showcase the 10 a.m. open. Let's bring that a little further. Let's just do 12:30, just so we can see it. And now I messed it up. Let's do 15. I'm just trying to see the little text label there. There we go. So as you can see, from opening into consolidation into a low with SMT, I wanted to see price expand here. It clearly did not, right? Hence why my stop was here. It was at the low of, well, what I wanted to see as the low of the 4-hour candle. We induced that low, so now I understand that this has now become a target for manipulation, right? After inducing it, trading back above. So I anticipated this rate, but I just don't want to allow for my trade to run 72 handles from me. So see, I lost out on 42 handles from the highest point here, but I didn't get stopped out all the way down here, or I could have placed my stop here. I could have placed my stop here. If you look at the return of this position, right, if you're up 6R, you should not let your price go back down to 2.4. That's more than 50% of your position. That's my personal opinion. If my maximum return was at 6.25 and I lost 2R on that, wow, that is straight 2R. See, my rules are on point. So definitely, well, this one was a little too low then. But if I lose 2R on it, I'm quite happy with that. What was my final objective? Well, that's the thing, right? What is to the left of this? Nothing. This is current all-time high, right? You're trading at all-time highs. It's winter in indices futures, right? So you're trading at all-time highs. So what am I going to target? Well, I'm going to look at standard deviations. That's it. So once there's no more liquidity, I look at standard deviations. But the truth is, at this point, I only had I had 2 contracts left. Every small run, now I saw this run, this pullback, this run, this pullback, this run, And now it's pulling back once again right here. That's a take profit for me. It's slowing down. Then I see this consolidation. If I had more than one contract, that would be me removing one, which I did not. I only had one left at this point. So it's all about just managing the stop loss to allow it to go to a certain point. I don't have a clear objective, but you can also use standard deviations. Now, why did I stop using the recent one and actually went and used the bigger one? Well, because I understand that this is a higher time frame breaker. And by higher time frame, I mean time frame just above, right? This is the real move. And always, I'm concentrating on the symmetry. What does price do here? Not what the 1 minute candles tell me. Okay, that's a lot of detail. What does price do? Form an important swing here. Another one here. Want to manipulate that. And then trade it above, right? What does that form? A breaker block. So whether I'm looking at it on a 1 minute or 5 minute, which might be a little more clear for most of you guys right here, breaker block, right? Range. Take out the low of the range, which is kind of hard to see, but if I extend this, it's going to be a little easier. Or I can even look at it on a 15, I think. Yeah, 15 is too much, I believe. Yeah, because this is not a swing low. But it's the symmetry that I'm focused on. And the symmetry tells me that this is, let's keep it simple for you guys. It's a 5 minute breaker, right? It's just that I'm able to notice it in a 1 minute because I'm just focusing on how price is moving, not what exactly is it doing with his 1 minute swing highs and lows. And that gives you standard deviations that are going to be part of the bigger move. You want to go even further? Power of 3, 15 minute. You will always form a breaker in classic power of 3 situations. This is not a cleanness. I'd be focused more on this one. So yes, there is SMT at this point in time, which means that this is a breaker block because this low was taken out on ES, which means you can treat NASDAQ as if it did. So this having, as you can see, -1, bread and butter, highest probability standard deviation, not because it's the closest, right at previous day high, and then 2 to 2.5 being your reversal range and C. Price had a low resistance liquidity run until it hit that point. So 2 standard deviations of this, 4 standard deviations of the lower time frame breaker. That's your 5 minute. And if we go even more precisely, let me just move this to the side and use your most recent standard deviation. So 1 minute, 5 minute, then you see the 15 here. You have lower time frame. But see what's funny? 1 minute, 5 minute. Terminus aligns with the possible reversal zone. Okay. What about the other one? Terminus aligns with the possible reversal zone. 5 minute, 15 minute. I was feeling saucy tonight. This is the most simple form you can bring power of 3 to be. Breaker block standard deviations. I use the one of the daily power of 3. I use the one of my intermediate time frame breaker, which 15 minute, right? The only reason why I'm in 5 minute is because it was too quick for 15 minute. Usually you have time, right? When you don't have an 8:30 news, you'd form the breaker somewhere here. And then reset. So no matter which time frame I'm in, it's telling me the same story. It's just what is terminus for one is just a possible reversal zone for the other. If we don't reverse here, then where are we going? We're going here. And it's so funny because it lines up with what my power of 3 tells me we could reverse here. Extremely high probability areas. So you asked a simple question, I gave you a complicated answer. Sorry for that freeze. But definitely a lot of shit was just shared here. See, that's the type of stuff that only happens on a Friday night with 3 people in the PA review. And just in general, recently, of course, I took a week off, so it's going to take some time before people join back again. But we're a small crowd in these PA reviews, because I don't advertise them in a certain way. And I like it like that. But you guys should definitely study what I just said. Under 100 people will hear it. But it is truly, truly worth it. As per the PM session, I don't trade the PM session during the week. You really think I'm going to be trading that on Friday? Fuck no. But, as I always said, 1:30, you're looking for a lunch trade. We did not take any side of the lunch rate at the lunch range within the PM session, which for me is an invalidation rule to even look at a power of 3 trade, because we are just still consolidating within the lunches rate, right? Lunch right here, noon to 1:30. We're just trading within that. If you see 2 p.m., what did we do? Open low. That's all we did. Barely managed to return to the open in time. So definitely nothing valuable in the PM session on this day, for my liking at least. Do you guys have any questions? Glad to see you in here, Wolfie, to catch that part. That's pretty cool. All clear. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here on this Friday night. It was a quick review. Nothing much to say when you have a perfect setup first try, right? Longer reviews, we talk about all of the possible setups, how this one would have stopped you out, but if your idea was still valid, you had another setup, blah, blah, blah. This one was bare bones. That's what I like to hear, Wolfie. Starting to all come together and make sense. Lovely. Sir, that's the point. That's the point. Well, on that note, I wish you all the best of weekends. As I said earlier, gotta find a way to disconnect, right? Take a break. So you guys have a great weekend, a good night to you as well, Freeze. We'll see each other on Sunday for our weekly outlook. Have a good one, guys.